education and to return the subsidies and bursaries that have always been available for all Kenyan children. 9, that the Kenya Kwanza regime be compelled to immediately address the confusion, the chaos, and the mounting expenses and demands surrounding the implementation of the junior high school program. Azimio pays tribute to the late Professor George Magoha, whom we lay to rest tomorrow, for his passion, vision, and resolve that is now missing. Had this administration let Professor Magoha stay, we are sure we would not have witnessed the confusion we see today. Tomorrow, members of the administration will flock to game to voice hypocritical and false praise to the late professor, yet they refuse to allow him to finish his work of implanting the new education system, and instead elevated politics above the interests of the children of Kenya. Number 10, that we have taken note of the suffering of university and college students, and we demand that the Kenya Kwanza administration immediately release all pending help funds to help ease the suffering of students. Azimio notes that inflation has wiped out the purchasing power of the current allowances given to university students, and demands that the administration must also increase the amount available under help in light of the inflation. In addition, and to end the destitution prevailing in our campuses, Kenya Kwanza administration must be forced to restore the old catering services in all public universities to enable all students access decent meals. Open the kitchens to enable students live in dignity. Number 11, that the Kenya Kwanza administration immediately releases monies to the counties to enable devolved units offer services that are critical to our people at this very difficult time. Azimio supports the formula put up by the Council of Governors. We also support calls for the full transfer of devolved functions, including water, health, and agriculture, among others, to the counties with immediate effect. We note that over 4,000 doctors are currently unemployed, yet Kenyans cannot get the health services they deserve. Kenya Kwanza must immediately make it possible for county governments to employ these doctors as part of the process to achieve universal health care. 12, that the Kenya Kwanza regime must immediately stop all lies and release the NGCDF and NGAF monies to all constituencies to help ease the burden of the people for whom these funds are a lifeline. Severally, the regime has promised to release the monies, but failed to keep its word. Finally, number 13, we note we are currently engaged in a just struggle for this nation, a struggle for good standard of living, struggle for democracy, and struggle to safeguard our hard-won multi-party political system that is under threat. In this struggle, we shall not tolerate acts that amount to a betrayal of the dreams and aspirations of the people of Kenya. Azimio, therefore, asks its elected leaders to shape up or ship out. There will be no two ways about this. The flirtations and cohabitations with the Kenya Kwanza regime under whatever pretext is totally unacceptable. Development is to be sought from Parliament, which appropriates funds, and not from State House. State House has no constitutional mandate or power. Power resides in the two houses of Parliament, that is the Senate and the National Assembly. Our people must not succumb to the blackmail, dirty politics, and dirty money being dished out by the regime that is struggling for legitimacy. Thank you. End of statement. We are not fielding any questions.
Looking for him and looking for photoshops, I don't know whether it is not it's not very useful. Mimi nataka kumalizia because I wanted to say this. One of the reasons that somebody is saying tumeenda is because when we were at Stone Earth, Your Excellency, and you are leading the resolutions of the Stone Earth on who is going to be a leader where, one of them is saying, wewe SG haukutu represent. And I've been telling the person, when our leader is speaking, kama sasa atakuja ongea hapa, na wewe usimame pale unaanza kumjibu, hiyo sio kuongea. That is heckling. It is heckling. And it's a lack of decorum. You engage leadership in a structured and well-behaved manner. The issues he was heckling about, we had already talked about them, the leadership, and agreed on how we were going to help going forward. But even when you heckle, you make things worse. So there will be very many excuses that will be thrown around. None of them will hold on the wall. We have the two ladies, wonderful ladies here. I mean, this Mheshimiwa, she has come to her mara yake ya kwanza. Na akikuongeza, what is this? You know, if you have been in Punge once, twice, 3 times, na huwezi kuona kwamba hii safari kuna watu wanakudanganya, wewe kuna shida. Na ile safari tunaenda ni mzito kuliko hii ya kukubaliana hapa ati namna gani. So we actually want dedicated people. We are not out to kick people out. But if you choose to go to another party, do it decently. Resign, go, let us have a by-election. Those who want you, let us have them landing you on their ticket. Ukishida ni sawasawa, Kenya bado itaendelea. Lakini sio hii maneno ya kurukaruka, unaenda mguu uko nusu, umetuashia mguu ingine pande hii. Ama ile watu wanasema pole, we are together, we may not be together physically, but we are together in spirit. Hatutaki hiyo roho ya kuachiwa, hapana, hata hiyo spirit beba. Kwa sababu kituagia hiyo spirit inakuja kusubua sisi, and it keeps us not going on. So I want to confirm here that we are here because we are here, and it's because we are part of this. And the journey that is ahead of us, we will move with it. We have, I know there will be other debates that we are going to have. I want to tell you the movement that we have of resisting a steal of our votes that was occasioned within Jubilee zones more than any other requires people, men and women of character, to keep going. This is another battle, just like the one that has been fought many times. Those days when when Baba was fighting, alikuwa na watu walikuwa naitwa akina Mwite, Imanyara, Robia, nani mwingine, Koigi, Matiba, hawako sasa. Ladies and gentlemen, tuko, we will fill that gap, and we do not need many. We do not need, we need the Wajiko. Na Wajiko wako kule chini, anapiga sufuria, ako na jaa. Kama wewe umeenda State House umechiba, wachana na wale ambao wako na jaa. We have not kicked anybody, we are still open. Lakini kama kuna magine hatuwezi wacha, lakini tunaendelea. Asanteni sana, and God bless you. Let me take this opportunity to welcome His Excellency Kalonzo Musyoka, the party leader, the party that has remained very steady. Haijayubayuba, they have resisted all the temptations. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ndugu Jeremiah. Ndugu Raila Amolo Odinga, former Prime Minister and the coalition leader. majority leaders who have been made to look like minority, Mheshimiwa Ndai, Mheshimiwa Bui, and the teams in Parliament, minority, majority, minority in the Senate, Senator Stuart Mazayo and Senator Ambua, and all the elected members of Parliament. I just want to take this opportunity to thank our presenter, Adam Zolo. I think he deserves a clap, a very big clap, because he spoke to us at a time when the world is in a spin, and where the weather, the wind bloweth. Sometimes you are reminded of some works of art, and those of you who are students of Shakespeare will perhaps, if you have read the book that I once did in Form 5 and I think in Form 6, Hamlet, by Shakespeare, where the chief character was contemplating all manner of things. And one of it was a soliloquy. He wanted to commit suicide. And he went something like this: to be or not to be? That is the question. Whether, ladies and gentlemen, it is nobler in the heart to suffer the slings of outrageous fortune, or to take arms against a sea of troubles and by opposing end them. That was Hamlet. And another one said, it was him actually went on to say, time is out of joint, oh cursed spite, that I was born to set it right. Time is out of joint. Ladies and gentlemen, honorable members, as we speak, here at Manzoni, over 16,000 people have perished in a deadly earthquake. I think we should just stand. I feel in my heart we should just stand for a minute and remember the people of Syria and the people of Turkey, since unlike many other countries which are sending, we do remember, of course, acknowledge our brother is suffering that disability. I'm sure he's with us, Mheshimiwa Tim. Remember, when I say time is out of joint, remember seeing those children being pulled out of the rubble in Syria. And now the weather is not like in our case here. It's cold, biting cold, minus. And apart from those who are perished, others are going to perish because of lack of the wherewithal. Let's remember them. Thank you so much. And as if that is not enough, here at home, we are suffering reversals of our democratic gains. And whoever thought of calling for this retreat, I want to thank the leadership of our coalition and parliament, because they thought right. Straight from your 2 weeks in Mombasa, was it? And I must congratulate Engineer Zambia, Honorable Kimilu. I just got information today that Wiper members from Makueni were actually received invitation to go to State House. I don't know why they're so selective. Yeah, just heard that. And they declined. Politely. Because you can send very powerful messages very politely. Because if we are going to make sense of democratic gains, you do not go, as Adam Zolo has put it, cannibalizing political organizations and inviting members without reference to their leadership. It is unthinkable. Therefore, I saw others saying that Wiper is going to State House after our colleagues. I haven't heard anybody saying they're going there. I must thank the member for Mwingi Central, Gideon Mulungi. I'll give him, I'm choosing just an example. He was with us in Kamukunji, in Kibra, and actually he went a step further, declared himself a general from his side of the world. But he was invited by Moses Kuria to State House in Mombasa when the president was doing, and I use the word president advisedly, was opening some factory. And so, because there's coal in Mwingi Central, a lot of coal deposits, he was someone to go and explain why him, and I don't know why they left Irene Kasalu, the county women rep for Kitui, because I know she has been in the forefront in opposing coal mining in that area because of the current climate change arrangements all over. But Gideon went there, but he did the decent thing. He said, I've been summoned to State House. He called his party leader. He called his party leader. And I think that's the way to do it because of the urgency of the matter, and his committee was in Parliament. He just had the decency to call me, and I straight away said, please go. Because as Jeremiah said, if there are issues to do with your own constituency, you should feel free to do something. But then there's, take that against the negative, the opposite situation of a conspiracy to defraud democracy. A conspiracy to defraud democracy. Last night I was watching CNN, and a gentleman who is German has written a book, Ndugu, which I think we should look for and read. And Adams, please, I want to challenge you to look at that book and make a critique of it. The title of the book is Democratic Capitalism by one Wolf. And this morning, listening to BBC and the Director General of the World Health Organization, she was a Nigerian lady, very capable, and been asked, what do you say to the fact that globalization has died? And she said, allow me to differ with you. It hasn't. Of course, we are seeing it, like in the case of Europe, nationalism, European nationalism, and in the case of Donald Trump's America that time, America first, and but NAFTA arrangements, which is Mexico, America, and I think Brazil, or is it Brazil, the NAFTA arrangements out there, Mexico, America, Canada, thank you, is still in place. And we have in our region, of course, the building blocks towards African unity, the Abuja Declaration, if you remember, if some of you have looked at that, and therefore the fact that we are strengthening regional integration as within East African community, that's why we're seeing the East African national anthem. I don't think we are cannibalizing our approach to regional unity, but Brexit perhaps was to blame for that kind of impression. And somebody last night was saying Europeans are actually quick to say when President Zelensky makes a surprise visit to visit Prince Charles and the House of Commons and addresses them and asking. In fact, you are reminded of what Churchill once said during the World War, Second World War, when he went to the US and said, give us the tools and we'll finish the job. I'm saying this as a background to what I'm just about to say. That as a nation, welcome sana ndugu Eugene Wamalo. Tumpigie makofi. And DAP and I think Kanu are really represented. When I heard them saying Kanu is going to State House, I started laughing. So, fellow Kenyans, because you are leaders, if you're not careful, you're going to follow. You're going to find your own constituents ahead of you. And that's where they are. We saw that in Jacaranda. I saw that in Kibra. You're most likely going to see that in Mavoko tomorrow. And therefore, as a leader, you need to ask your question. Do you want to lead or you want to be led by your own people? Something is grossly wrong with our country. But I draw a lot of satisfaction out of the fact that Constitution 2010 is in place. And so, if it was not that for Constitution, some of us would be in detention for sure. Therefore, Adams, those of our fellow countrymen who struggled for democracy in this country remain our heroes today. Because of them, we have now established a tradition where even if you are president, Ndugu Raila, if you are the president today, you will require William Ruto as leader of your opposition. I saw last night during the address of the State of the Nation by President Joe Biden, perhaps the biggest democracy in our Constitution, 2010, is fashioned in a very straight way, very strong way along the American Constitution. He had to go there and plead with the Speaker, who is Republican, after Nancy Pelosi left. You know, the Republicans have gotten the leadership of the Congress. Now, William Ruto and his people did not have to cannibalize our majority. He could still have come and say, let's have a bipartisan approach. Joe Biden was there. This is a country we are in now. You cannot cannibalize democracy in this country. It will not happen. Not under Constitution 2010. Therefore, I just want to encourage us to be very strong and very focused. Very strong and very focused. I heard Wandai say that even if you are left 50 of you or 2 or 1, I think it's Junet who said even if it's 1, you are still the majority. This is the minority. But this is a team. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to encourage all of us tomorrow to toke namna hii, tuende Mavoko, this will be a rally enough. Because as I told you, if you don't do that, if you don't decide in your own mind and your own spirit that you want to be part of the action, please do not blame your constituents when after 4 years or thereabouts, they throw you out. Do you think these people who went to State House today, the ones who went the other day, if there's an election to be called, would they really? Poor Jalango. In fact, I was looking for him. I'm still going to look for Jalango. Because he was here. We must also exercise tolerance. When somebody wants to say sorry, don't throw them out. I see that is a point of departure. I will not withdraw my remarks. I will not withdraw my remarks. But imagine the state of mind poor Jalango is in. Because Kibra now is his hostile ground. You know, you are supposed to enjoy your tour of duty as an MP for your constituency. Let me tell you, I must congratulate our brother Tim Wanyonyi, and I'll tell you why. His brother is Speaker of the National Assembly, but he is elected on an ODM ticket in Nairobi, and he's here, and he's not afraid. If anybody was to go to State House, surely Tim Wanyonyi should have been leading them. Because the Speaker is there. my brother who forgot his struggling brother when we were eating tear gas with him and Tinga. My friends, time is extremely of the essence. What you decide to do out of Manzoni today and tomorrow may shape your future positive progression in elective politics. And don't say you are nominated, because even then you may want to run at some stage. So I want to thank all of you for standing firm. This is a time to stand very firm and stand up and be counted. An opportunity like this is very rare, where leadership is expected of you. Please do not allow so that it will be said the 13th Parliament was the Parliament that brought down the democratic gains that this country had made. So, mimi sitaki kuongea sana because I just wanted to share those thoughts before I invite my brother Eugene to come and greet you. And so, you know, this was your retreat, actually. So I thank you for inviting me. Thank you so much. You know, you didn't have to invite me because it's your retreat. Eh? Nani anaomba kura? Kwani hii kura ni ya leo? I'm here to accompany Baba. Wacha hiyo mambo ingine. Si ndio? Before we do that, we have some work to do. And that is to salvage our democracy. You're going to look at those figures. By the way, with all the noise that KK are capable of doing, do you remember I said they are Kenya Kwisha? With all the noise they're capable of making, none of them has contravened the findings of the whistleblower. Because they're absolutely truthful. I like it, Adams, like your sense of optimism when you think, when you said even the compromised judiciary will take judicial notice of the development, the political developments in this country. So, be there, be a champion. Be a champion. Let us really make sure this country is safe for the present generation and the generations to come. If we falter and go and eat ugali or whatever it is, we will be counted on the wrong side of history. Some of us have decided to stand for what is in the best national interest of our country. And this time, we are called upon to stand firm and be a true buffalo soldier. Because if you are not, the alternative is you go home. Yeah, if you want to go home, mapema, start now. But I'm quite sure you now know, even in your heart, in your own mind and heart, I'm sure you remember, you can feel that all is not well with our country. And the people themselves are crying out. The confusion in the education sector, real confusion. People think high cost of living is global. No. But we had an opportunity when former President Uhuru had to negotiate tough with the IMF executive director, whatever the title is, to say, please allow, my people are going to perish. We want these subsidies in fuel, yeah, so that we at least can manage to get around. But for anybody to jump up and say, oh, it is a world problem. No, no, no. Therefore, I stand and dig in for sovereignty of this nation, because it's a very important nation in the world. Even if you are to look at the biblical teachings and see what happened when and wherever, and then the spiritual dimensions of where we are, even the remnant of the church is beginning to stand up. What was the remnant of the church? Because the church stood compromised, are beginning to say, wait a minute, all seems to have gone wrong. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Ndugu Eugene Wamalwa.
Thank you very much, Honorable Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka, the Honorable Raila Odinga, my brother Kioni, Honorable members of our National Assembly and the Senate, good afternoon. The danger of coming late is that you might either be irrelevant or you might be repeating what has already been said. So I don't want to say much, and just to give my apologies for arriving late. We had a very tragic accident just a few hours ago in the last 24 hours. And our executive director of the Democratic Action Party of Kenya, one Colonel Benjamin Mwema, passed away. And we had just been with him. He was with us in the Azimio rallies. And he was driving home. And on Thika Road, there was an accident. So they were just doing the postmortem. The burial is tomorrow. That is why I was late. I should have been here much earlier. Actually, the gentleman comes from Machakos County. Many of you know him. So that is why we were delayed. And I just wanted to say one or two things. As you resume, because we know that after this retreat, you'll be going to Parliament, there are a few things that are coming before you. For me, there is one that is a matter of great concern, and I really wanted you to look at it. It concerns devolution. It concerns our counties. And I think there will be a petition for additional counties. That petition is targeting certain counties, and I believe the Honorable William Ruto is fully behind that petition. It's targeting to divide the county of Trans Nzoia, the county of Bungoma, to create Mount Elgon County. It's also targeting Busia County to create Teso County. It's also targeting Migori County to create a new Kuria County. They are all within their rights to bring these petitions. But the real issue that is on the ground now, coming from this part of Kenya, where the 3 counties are likely to be created, you can feel already this driving a wedge between communities. And those who were in support of this constitution, the 2010, I can tell you for sure that those in State House were not part of that progressive movement that fought for devolution, that brought about this constitutional devolution. There are those who oppose that are there, and they do not have the interest of devolution at heart. They do not, or they are not doing this to advance the objects of devolution under Article 174. They are doing it for political expediency. When you look at the 47 counties and the results, our candidate Raila Odinga won the majority counties. Over 24 counties went blue. William Ruto won, I think, were they 21 or so? But he's trying to see how to create additional counties for 2027 purposes. And the 3, I'm sure he is, of course, persuading the minority communities that he will protect them. And if we make that mistake, we would have opened the Pandora's box when we create ethnic-based counties. Where will you stop? Because beyond those communities, there will be now a demand by clans, there will be a demand by many of the marginalized. It cannot be good for our national cohesion. Please apply your mind to that. Saying already they are unable to actually pay the 47 counties that are here. They have been unable. From October, counties have not received their money. Gachagua is saying they have no money to give the 47 counties. Ati hata wakimchapa matako yake hakuna pesa itatoka. Yes, so I'm told there's a likely impeachment. Sasa, I just wanted to leave that with you so that you see how to drive that agenda to defend devolution, so that if there's anything, we should be looking at additional resources going to those counties, so that we build democracy from the grassroots, turn our counties into engine of socioeconomic transformation of our country. If we are talking, they really believe in bottom-up, devolution is the real bottom-up, and that is where the focus should be. Sitaki niseme mengi kuliko hapo. I just want to wish you well, but to also tell you that what is happening now reminds us of the dark KANU days. We went to a function in Kibra. By the time we were leaving that rally, because some of us have been seen very committed on this side, we have been targeted. You've heard about what happened to my brother Matiang'i last night, and Baba, we must really thank you for being there for him. In fact, I want, after we finish, I want you to know my house in case it happens to me also, please. Because I'm told there's a list. Those of us who are ministers in Uhuru's government, who are close to Uhuru, they are not just targeting Uhuru, they are targeting us as well. Maybe you might not know this, Baba, but having been a defense minister, I had about 4 security officers. 3 were with the drone. But the day I was seen in Kibra, the next day, the only remaining police officer assigned to me was also with the drone. As we speak, there is the attempt to intimidate. You are the voices of the people. The dark days are upon us. In fact, what we are seeing is like those of you who are students of European history are like the days of the reign of terror by the Jacobins. So what we have in Kenya today, if you don't come out to fight this illegitimate regime, the reign of terror by the Kenya Kwanza Jacobins is upon us. Please, fight for the people. Asanteni na Mungu awabariki. May I now have the pleasure of inviting the People's President, Jacomo mwenyewe aongee na sisi. Karibu, karibu, Your Excellency.
Thank you. You may be seated. The reason I'm asking you to sit down is because I want to ask you to stand up for 1 minute to observe a silence in honor of the late Minister for Education, Mr. Professor Magoha. Thank you. Thank you. Wajumbe wa Azimio, hamjambo? Hamjambo tena? Azimio? 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 Asanteni sana. I am very delighted to have opportunity to talk to our members of parliament at this moment in time. Now, I have some notes which I put together that I want to refer to first, and then after that I'm going to talk to you from my heart. But I was saying here that we meet at a strange time in the country. It's also a trying time. At the start of this regime, we did not only warn about its illegitimacy, we also warned that there's real risk of the country going back to the old order. The old gains we have made over the years completely rolled back. It has come too soon. Kenya is clearly on the path to the past. So when people talk of crisis, the crisis is not in Azimio or in this meeting. The crisis is out there with the legitimate Kenya Kwanza regime and the heavy yoke the regime is putting on the people of Kenya. We are therefore to consolidate our resolve to fight for the people of Kenya. We have a choice that we have to make going into the coming weeks and months. On the one hand, we are told elections are over and we should accept the outcome and move on. On the other hand, some of us believe the elections may be over, but there remains serious wrongs to be made right if future elections have to have any meaning and purpose. We choose to fight, and I want to believe that in you here, I see warriors ready for the battle ahead. There are many freedoms we have to fight for on behalf of Kenyans. Today, I want to interest you in just two. One is the two freedoms we have to prioritize. The two are the ones which we want to prioritize in this period. First, there is social and economic freedom of the people of Kenya. Kenyans are hurting. They demand and deserve economic justice. Secondly, electoral freedom. The electoral justice that will ensure the votes the people of Kenya cast during elections are counted and are respected. We believe that social and economic justice goes hand in hand with the struggle for electoral justice. They care about statistics. How much money has been collected in taxes? How much loan the people have taken? The percentage at which the economy is growing. Illegitimate regimes don't realize that behind those statistics, there are real human beings bearing a yoke they do not deserve and cannot survive. That is where we are today with Kenya Kwanza. It is about statistics, not the people. Kenyans deserve a government that understands that the people are hungry and angry, that people need jobs, that people need wage increases to be able to live with dignity, that people need better prospects for the future. Kenyans want and deserve to live well and eat well. They want good and well-paying jobs, and they want their salaries to be constantly adjusted above the inflation. I know no nation in history that has ever put up with such a huge tax burden as Kenyans are bearing today and survived. Kenyans now work for taxes. Tax now comprises close to half of the prices of goods our people buy. And I give an example. Today, if you pay 100 shillings for water, 70 shillings of that money is tax. Kenyans need justice on taxation front, and we're the only people to take up this battle. We must force an end to taxation policies that place heavier tax burden on the middle class and the extreme poor, while those to the administration easily avoid taxes and are reimbursed their proceeds through proceeds of crime. We must lead Kenyans to demand social and economic justice predicated on access to jobs, a fair minimum wage, a free education for all our children, in addition to abolition of punitive taxes. The country is crying for social programs that can lift the people from poverty. We cannot accept as normal that millions of our people have nothing to eat and that their poverty is being weaponized and politicized to give legitimacy to a rudderless and illegitimate regime. The time has come for the time has come for the full implementation of social and economic aspect of the Bill of Rights in our Constitution, and we must lead that push. Kenyans deserve some guaranteed minimum income during these tough times. The social protection programs, which guarantee a basic monthly income, must be reinstated and expanded. In our push for social and economic justice for the people of Kenya, we must also strongly oppose plans to sell off state-run parastatals and ensure these entities serve the public good rather than lining the pockets of individuals in government. With regard to electoral justice, we must return this country to the ideal that the government is beholden to the people, that it has no other source of power except the people. The people express their preferences through the ballot, and that the preferences made at the ballot must be respected. As I have said before, Kenya has become a laboratory for bad election practices that others borrow around the continent. An organized elite keen to protect narrow selfish interests has forged strategic alliances and captured strategic systems and institutions with the sole purpose of subverting the substance of elections. As a result, the majority is at the mercy of the minority with regard to free, fair, transparent, and credible elections. People wake up at dawn, stand in long queues to cast their ballots, but they end up with the results that indicate their votes were not counted and did not count. Economic and electoral justice must be seen to be intertwined. We must pursue them with the resolve, the courage, the sense of urgency, and the faith that they deserve, and we must do it now. Soon it will be too late. I'll finish those notes. Then now, I want to now add a few points. First of all, what Professor Adam Solo mentioned to you people, and also what my other three brothers here have talked about. One, I want to begin to tell you here that nobody has asked for, and there will be no handshake. They've kept on talking wherever they go, oh, these people are doing this because they want to be called for handshake and so on. You have not asked anybody for handshake, and we don't want any handshake. What we are talking about is we are doing this in the interest of this country. In the last elections, we negotiated with Honorable Uhuru Kenyatta, and what we agreed on was put in a memorandum of understanding, which we made public on the day of the handshake. And that is what informed the decision to set up a task force which came up with the BBI. That was the basis of the handshake. We then, as the opposition, never had any position in government. We did not even appoint a CS, not even a minister. So there's been a propaganda which has been spread by this team of Kenya Kwisha that we were responsible for the problems within Jubilee government. We never had a say in the Jubilee government. We never had anybody appointed even as a head of parastatal in the Jubilee government. Not even a permanent secretary in the Jubilee government. We have never had, they are the ones who are in government, the ones who are living there, earning a salary, having protection of security and so on, and yet they come out to the government and saying that the government had failed. If it failed, they were part and parcel of that failure.